The solar system is an amazing place. It's where we live on the planet Earth, which is one of 8 planets, plus a dwarf planet, Pluto, circling our sun. All of these, along with moons, comets, and asteroids, make up what we call our solar system. Scientists believe that our solar system was formed in a cloud of cosmic gas and dust that began to spin and contract. And as it did, it became hotter in the center. Our sun began to take shape. In the meantime, the center became so hot that it became a star and our sun sprang into life, blowing most of the gas and dust of our new solar system away into space. Just remember, kids, this occurred over billions of years of time. Let's take our spaceship Stardust out towards the sun. But we've got to be careful that we don't get too close. We'd be vaporized in a second if we did. Our sun is one of billions of stars in our Milky Way galaxy. Without its light and heat, no life or plants would exist on our planet. Just think of that. Its enormous mass contains 98% of all the known matter in our solar system. Why, it's so huge that 1 million Earths could fit within it. It's the only star that's close enough that we can easily see and study. So, what we see is a seething nuclear furnace of various gases that are incredibly hot and dense. Vast amounts of energy occasionally burst outward in space, creating magnetic and electrical fields that may even disrupt communications here on Earth. Do you have any questions, Blinker?
Yeah, Max. What is a solar eclipse?
Well, do you remember the time that the sun went out in the middle of the day? Well, that was a solar eclipse, caused when the moon blocked the sun's light from reaching where you were standing. During a total eclipse, the sun's corona, or outer atmosphere, becomes visible. This is a really awesome thing to see. Let me remind you, Blinker, never view the sun directly without a dark glass or filter, as you may be blinded. That would be an awful thing. Sometimes you can even see a solar flare during a total eclipse. These flares can produce enormous outbursts of flaming gas that soars far out into space.
Max, how do we know all these things?
Well, Blinker, mankind has been accumulating knowledge of our sun and planets since we first looked skyward. However, during the past several decades, we have advanced to space flight.
1, 0, booster ignition and liftoff of Columbia.
And our knowledge has exploded because of it. For example, in 1973, we launched Skylab, a huge orbiting laboratory. One of its main purposes was to learn more about the sun, and whoa, boy, did we ever! These scenes are from Skylab's amazing instruments. Then, in 1990, we launched an exciting spacecraft, Ulysses, to study the sun. Many years later, it was still continuing its mission of gathering information about the sun.
Thanks, Max. That was really exciting. But how is a solar eclipse different from a lunar eclipse?
Well, Blinker, a lunar eclipse occurs when the moon passes directly through the Earth's dark shadow. This can only occur during a full moon. There are 2 kinds of visible lunar eclipses. The first is a partial eclipse, like this one, where only a part of the moon is missing. The second is a total eclipse. That is really exciting because the moon, which is still visible but far less bright, can often appear quite red. Some call this the blood moon. Hey, Blinker, our ship is starting to heat up, so we'd better head for home and mission control. Well, Blinker, we're on our way to Mercury. I bet you don't know that Mercury is the smallest of the planets. Why, it's only a little bigger than our own moon. It's also the closest to the sun, so its surface temperature sometimes reaches 800 degrees. Ooh, hot enough to melt lead. Only Venus is hotter, and I'll explain why when we explore that planet. But Mercury is so close to the sun, a visitor would easily burn to death. So I don't think we'll be taking a vacation there. But because the planet has hardly any atmosphere and turns slowly, the night side temperatures are so cold, you would instantly freeze to death. And you know, this is not an ideal place to visit. Boy, that's for sure. Let's go to the Grand Canyon. What do you say?
But Max, if I had a spacesuit to protect me from the heat and cold, could I explore the planet?
Yes, I suppose, Blinker, but remember the planet is small, so there is less gravity. If you weigh 70 pounds here on Earth, well, you would only weigh 27 pounds on Mercury. So if you jump too high, you might never come down. I wouldn't want that, Blinker. As you know, we don't know a lot about this mysterious planet Mercury. In 1973, the United States launched Mariner 10, the only spacecraft to ever visit Mercury. It obtained about 2,800 photos. And in August of 2004, the spacecraft Messenger was launched on its long journey to Mercury that will make the planet less of a mystery. But I'll tell you, those photos told us a great deal. Namely, this is one hostile planet.
Max, are you sure you haven't got these pictures mixed up? It sure looks like the moon to me.
I know it's confusing, Blinker, but Mercury does look a lot like our moon, with endless amounts of craters, but we have learned it's a lot different in many ways. This is Mercury's south pole. Some of the craters here are 120 miles across. Well, look at that. Well, Blinker, I guess that's about all I can teach you today about Mercury, but someday we'll know a lot more when Messenger sends its information. I think we'd better head for home now and get ready for another adventure.
Max, can we go see Venus up close?
Why, sure, Blinker. Let's go! Venus is the brightest object in the night sky, except the moon, and it's the second planet from the sun. It's also Earth's closest neighbor in the solar system, and similar in size. It's shrouded in a thick cloud layer that keeps us from looking directly at its surface, but space missions have shown us that it's covered with craters, volcanoes, lava flows, and huge mountains. This is a place you sure don't want to visit. If the 850-degree temperature didn't melt you, its incredibly thick atmosphere would crush you. Well, that's not very inviting, is it, Blinker?
Max, didn't we used to think that Venus was just like Earth?
Yes, Blinker, we did, because they looked so much alike. Venus was called Earth's sister planet. Many scientists believe that below those thick clouds lay a surface much like Earth's. In fact, some people believed it was a hot, swampy jungle with prehistoric creatures roaming around.
Then how do we know what its surface looks like if we can't see it, Max?
Well, Blinker, it's because of Russian and American spacecraft missions to Venus. Let me tell you about those. There have been many missions to Venus by these two countries. However, in 1990, an awesome American spacecraft called Magellan visited Venus for 4 years, and using a new radar technology, penetrated the thick clouds and mapped 98% of the planet's mysterious surface.
What did they find, Max?
Well, they found an amazing planet, nothing like they expected. First, because of the thick cloud covering that planet that trapped the heat, the surface was very hot and barren, just like a gigantic furnace. But it revealed incredible scenes of huge mountains and volcanoes, deep canyons, and countless mysterious formations that we still don't understand. Just take a look at some of these scenes. Look at that. Doesn't that blow your mind? Whoa, wait a minute. Our fuel is running low, Blinker, so we'd better start heading stardust for home. Blinker, Earth is the third planet from the Sun. It's the largest of the inner planets, but more important, it is our home, a very special place. It has one moon that is a quarter of the size of Earth. The moon has no atmosphere, and its surface is covered with craters, mountains, and lava plains. Not a very friendly place out there. It provides us with moonlight, but it doesn't produce its own light. It only appears bright because it reflects the sun's light. Earth itself is unique because it's the only place that is known to support life in what so far appears to be a lifeless solar system. Just think about that, Blinker. We're all alone here.
Yeah, Max. What does Earth look like from space?
From space, Earth appears like a beautiful blue and white ball. Just look at this picture of Earth in space captured by the Galileo spacecraft. Isn't that something? That is really beautiful. What a place to live, huh, Blinker? But just think of what our planet is like compared to the stark, lifeless surfaces of other planets. Towering mountains, sparkling lakes, immense oceans, roaring waterfalls, tumbling rivers, erupting volcanoes, exciting wildlife, sprawling cities, and lots of creatures just like you and me, Blinker.
But Max, how come life can exist here on Earth and not other places?
Life can exist here because of some pretty awesome events that brought together just the right elements to create a planet that could bring about life and sustain it. Our sun averages 93 million miles away from Earth, just the right distance to provide us with an average worldwide temperature that can sustain life. Our atmosphere here contains just the right mix of nitrogen and oxygen so we can breathe. And Earth is just the right size to provide us with the gravity we need to function as we do. And Earth's the only planet that has liquid water in large quantities, so that we can have rivers, lakes, and oceans, and a nice tall glass of water with ice in it. Could use one right now, Blinker. It's the only place that has vast storms that constantly recycle and renew our water. Our beautiful planet has a magnetic field that protects us from deadly particles from space. Earth rotates once every 24 hours, giving us a balanced day and night. Yes, just imagine if it didn't rotate. We would be cooked on the day side of Earth and frozen on the night side. But Blinker, our planet is truly the most amazing place in all the universe.
Wow! Thanks, Max. I sure understand now how lucky we are to have a place like Earth to live on. Let's all take good care of it.
Well, Blinker, let's visit our next-door neighbor, Mars. That should really be exciting. Look there. Can you see it? We're getting closer all the time. Wow, Mars is our most fascinating neighbor in space, Blinker. Previous explorations have shown us that Mars is more Earth-like than any other planet. Would you believe Earth and Mars are the only inner planets with moons? Why, Mars even tilts in space nearly exactly like Earth. It has 4 seasons, and the length of the day is almost the same. But, well, its climate is far different. It's cold and very dry. Most of its water has either been lost into space, frozen in its ice caps, or lies just below the surface. This is really an awesome place.
Hey, Max, how come Mars is so reddish?
That's because its rock and soil contain vast amounts of iron, and iron turns red when it rusts. We have areas on Earth that are just as red. Did you know that?
Wait, Max, Does Mars have clouds and storms?
It does have clouds and storms, but they're very different from ours. Its storms are low-pressure areas like here on Earth, but they create red dust storms produced by high winds. It does have clouds similar to Earth. They produce little precipitation. They don't have much rain, that is, which takes the form of very light snow and frost. Remember, temperatures can fall to 200 degrees below zero because there's very little atmosphere or air pressure. You couldn't breathe on Mars.
Look, Max! What's that huge crack on Mars? Hey, can we go down and look at it?
My boy, that's the largest canyon that has been found in our solar system so far. They call it Valles Marineris. It's so large it would extend all the way across the United States, and in some places it's 4 times deeper than the Grand Canyon. I'll tell you what, let's take Stardust down for a closer look. Get ready. Hold on, Blinker. This is a wild ride. Woo-hoo-wee! Just like a roller coaster. Wow! Look at that canyon.
Whoa! What's that giant mountain up ahead? Hey, I've always wanted to try snow skiing.
Blinker, giant is not big enough to describe this mountain. That's the tallest mountain in our solar system. They call it Olympus Mons, and it is a huge volcano. It is the largest of 4 of these giants on Mars. Olympus Mons is so big it would cover the state of New Mexico, and it's 15 miles high. And by the way, there isn't enough snow or frost for you to ski on there. Hey, look at that. What you're seeing is its huge mouth. That's at the top of the volcano where giant eruptions used to come from. Look at the size of that hole.
But what about water on Mars, Max? Where is it?
Why, that's a good question, Blinker. Our spacecraft in orbit and our robot landers on the surface have found amazing things. A lot of it has to do with water. Our scientists now believe that Mars may contain vast quantities of water, all frozen, of course, because it's so cold on Mars.
Is it true that there was once all kinds of rivers, lakes, and even oceans on Mars?
Why, yes, Blinker. All our explorations seem to confirm this. Once upon a distant time, Mars had all of those things and maybe even life, too. Just think of that. Isn't that exciting? Also, Blinker, see the channels cut in those giant cliffs? Well, we see evidence that water may have erupted from the surface there recently. They look very fresh, and they sure look like they were cut by flowing water. We might imagine that if astronauts were down there when it happened, this is what they would have seen. Can you even imagine such a thing? That is so awesome, Blinker.
Yeah, but what about the poles, Max? Are they like our North and South poles here on Earth?
Yes, they're very similar. They're composed of mainly frozen water. The North Pole that you see down below is much bigger than the South Pole. Now, take a look at the South Pole. See how much smaller it is? Just like on Earth, Mars has 2 poles, and the ice caps grow smaller in the summer and larger in the winter.
Hey, Max, you said Mars has a moon. What's it like?
Well, Mars has 2 moons, Blinker, Deimos and Phobos. They are really small, and they circle close above Mars, about 3,000 miles, compared to our moon, which is much farther from Earth. See Deimos there? It's pretty tiny, just 9 miles long. It looks just like a big rock floating out there in space. Now that's Phobos. It's the larger of the 2, some 27 miles in length. Both moons are heavily cratered. Blinker, I think it's time to head back to Earth, but I'll tell you what. We'll visit Mars again and see what the new Mars exploration has discovered. Is that okay with you?
Boy, you bet, Max. This has been exciting, and I'm anxious to come back again. So let's head for home.
Well, Blinker, we're on our way to Jupiter now. And Jupiter's really something very big. It is the largest planet by far in the entire solar system. In fact, it's so big, it's just missed becoming a star. Can you believe that? About 279,000 miles around. Its wonderfully colored stripes reveal a violent atmosphere that has clouds and huge storms that race around the planet.
That's the most exciting planet I've seen, Max. What makes all those bands of bright colors?
Those bright bands are clouds, Blinker, and the bands are rotating in opposite directions. Isn't that awesome? In fact, it is considered to be a young planet, perhaps still forming. I wonder what it will eventually look like.
What is the surface of Jupiter like, Max?
Oh, Blinker, we don't believe it has a solid surface. It's so huge, its atmosphere becomes thicker and thicker until it gradually becomes a vast ocean of liquid hydrogen and water. That's hard to imagine, isn't it? We do know that somewhere down there, amidst all of that storminess, there is a rock or metal core, too.
Oh, what's that huge red spot down there, Max?
Why, that's a great storm, Blinker, and it's been raging for over 300 years. It's so huge that the whole Earth could fit within it. Can you believe that? Its winds are higher than any we could imagine. Sort of a super hurricane for 300 years.
Does Jupiter have rings like Saturn?
Well, not exactly. Jupiter has a very faint ring system. See them in this close-up? They are not normally visible because they are so dim.
Max, does Jupiter have a lot of moons like Saturn?
Yes, Blinker, a lot, but not as many as Saturn. At last count, we've discovered 63. I'll tell you what, let's take a look at the 4 most important moons. They call them the Galilean moons. The first is probably the most exciting body in all our solar system. It's called Io. Io is small and close to Jupiter. This incredible moon is in a constant state of eruption. Its many volcanoes ejecting out mainly hot, molten sulfur, giving it that beautiful yellow color. Callisto is a really large moon. In fact, it's the 3rd largest moon in the solar system, about the size of the planet Mercury. It's also the most heavily cratered moon. Callisto is about 4 billion years old and has the oldest unchanged landscape in our solar system. Wow, that's really something to remember. And Jupiter's moons are something else too, Blinker. Ganymede is Jupiter's largest moon and the largest in our solar system. In fact, it is so big, if it orbited the Sun instead of Jupiter, it would be a planet. Europa is another unusual moon. Its surface is among the brightest in the solar system and is remarkably smooth because it has a young, icy crust. Well, Blinker, that completes our awesome tour of Jupiter. Are you ready to head back?
You bet, Max. Power up! I'm ready to head for home.
Well, Blinker, I think it's time we took a trip to Saturn. It's the 6th planet from the Sun, the one with all those magnificent rings, and it has lots of moons, too. It's what we call a gas giant, one of the outer planets. Our own planet Earth is grouped among the inner planets that are more solid. That is, they have more rock and stuff. Do you understand all of this, Blinker?
Yeah, I think so, Max. But just how big is Saturn, and what are all those rings?
Well, Saturn is really quite large, over 74,000 miles across. Its rings are made up of millions and millions of pieces of mostly ice and rocks. Some are just tiny specks, and others are the size of a house. But the rings are very thin. In fact, the spacecrafts Voyager 2 and Cassini flew right through one without any damage at all.
How many rings are there, Max?
Well, Blinker, there are too many to count, but there are thousands of them. They are divided into 7 main groups, though, identified by alphabetical letters.
What about all those moons? How many are there? And what are they like?
Saturn's moons are really something. So far, scientists have found 56, and there may be more. Some are really unusual and important. For example, one of the moons is Titan. It's considered by many to be the most important moon in the solar system because it may be much like what Earth was like billions of years ago. In fact, it's so important that our Cassini spacecraft carried another smaller spacecraft called Huygens piggyback all the way to Titan to send it in for a landing on the surface. Just imagine that. Just look at these incredible photos taken by Huygens cameras. This was taken from the space probe as it descended toward Titan's surface. See the channels cut by flowing liquid? Remember, though, that the temperature is so cold that all water is frozen, so that the liquid is very likely methane. Now, this picture was actually taken from the surface, and it's believed the yellow rocks are frozen water ice. Now, Mimas is a weird moon with a giant crater that makes it look like the Death Star in the movie Star Wars. Did you see that? Phoebe, another moon, is a small moon that looks like it has been through a nuclear war. Cassini flew by it and captured these remarkable photos. Look at that. Blinker, these are just some of the more important moons of Saturn.
I was wondering, what is Saturn made of, and could we live there?
Well, Saturn is primarily a ball of gas with a hot, solid inner core of iron and rocky material. Its atmosphere is mainly hydrogen and helium, raging with giant storms. There's no life as we know it. Well, Blinker, I hope you know a little more now about our mysterious and beautiful planet Saturn. Our time's up, so let's head Stardust back to Mission Control. All right, my friend, we're off to Uranus. Uranus is the second most distant planet from the Sun, and boy, it's a very odd one. Would you believe it spins on its side? Its day is about 17 hours long. 1 year on Uranus equals 84 years on Earth. It's one of the giant gas planets too, like Neptune, and about the same size. It's blue in color, and most of what we know about it came from a visit by our spacecraft Voyager 2. And Blinker, we believe that long ago it was struck by a planet-sized object that laid it on its side, and it's been that way ever since.
Wow, Max, that's pretty awesome. But what's it made of? And does it have a surface like Earth?
The answer to that question is amazing too. It's pretty much composed of hydrogen, other elements, and water ice that begins as clouds near the top of its atmosphere. That gradually turns into an icy slush, and finally into more solid ice. So it doesn't really have a solid surface at all.
What else do we know about Uranus, Max? Does it have rings too? And why is it so hazy looking?
It does have a complicated ring system that includes 13 rings. Its rings are quite a bit different from the rings around Saturn and Jupiter, though. And your second question, Blinker, is a good one. Uranus's atmosphere is still forming, and the clouds are sort of shrouded in a kind of smog. That makes it difficult to see the true clouds, but we think they're in a striped pattern just like Saturn and Jupiter.
Max, what about moons? Are there many? And what are they like?
At last count, Blinker, there were 27. Most are small, but there are several important ones. First, there's Ariel. It's about 720 miles across and appears to have an icy surface. Then there's Titania, which was discovered by telescope way back in 1787, and it's larger with a diameter of about 1,000 miles. Oberon is believed to be an icy moon too, and about the same size as Titania. And finally, there's Miranda. It's the smallest at about 300 miles across, but the most interesting of the major moons. It has a remarkably rugged surface, and NASA has created this flyby movie from photos taken by Voyager 2. Look at that. That's really something. All right, Blinker, that completes our tour of Uranus. So let's head back to Earth and Mission Control. So, Blinker, you want to go to Neptune. That's pretty far out, but here we go. Neptune is well known for its bright blue color caused by methane gas in its atmosphere. It's a giant gas planet too, just like Jupiter and Saturn, but not as big. It's still huge though, over 30,000 miles across. It has been visited by only one spacecraft, Voyager 2, and much of what we know about Neptune has come from that one encounter. It has the highest winds of any planet. Would you believe up to 1,500 miles per hour? Oh, wow, Blinker, you wouldn't want to go kite flying there, would you?
But what's that big dark spot down there?
It's called the Great Dark Spot, which really is a huge storm about the size of Earth. Although it seems to have disappeared now, it did travel around the planet at about 700 miles per hour. Imagine what that would be like if you were caught in it. There are some other spots too, and we believe those are also storms.
Max, how many moons has Neptune got? And are any of them special?
Neptune has 13 known moons. Most are quite small, and little is known about them but one, Triton. It's pretty exciting, though. It's Neptune's largest moon and somewhat smaller than our moon. Its coloring is beautiful, but it's really chilly, though, at about 390 degrees below zero.
Does Neptune have any rings like Saturn, Max?
Yes, Blinker, Neptune has rings too, as Voyager discovered. But we know little about them except that they are very faint, unlike Saturn's pronounced rings.
If Neptune is a gas giant, is it made of the same thing as Jupiter and Saturn?
It's similar, Blinker, but some of its elements may be different. It also has a rocky core. Well, Blinker, that should give you a better idea of what Neptune's all about. So let's head back home. Are you ready? Get ready to go. You're sure you want to go way out to Pluto, Blinker? Well, okay, let's go. Let's get into Stardust and get on our way. The mysterious dwarf planet of Pluto is the farthest from our sun. When astronomers saw Pluto for the first time in 1930, they called it the 9th planet in our solar system. In 2005, scientists discovered a new dwarf planet in our solar system that is actually larger than Pluto. This sparked a debate about the definition of a planet and led to Pluto being reclassified as a dwarf planet.
It sure looks mysterious, Max. If it's so far away, how do we know anything about it at all?
Well, much of our knowledge, Blinker, comes from the Great Hubble Space Telescope, because even with the most powerful Earth-based telescopes, it appears as a small pinprick of light. Remember, Blinker, some of the images you are seeing here are not actual photos, but illustrations.
What do we know for sure about it, Max? Like, how big is it? And what is it made of?
Remember, one question at a time. Pluto is much smaller than our own moon, a little over 1,400 miles wide. What it's composed of is a little less certain, but we think that the top part may be made up of mainly soft ice, sort of like ice cream, with a small rocky core, and that's not Rocky Road. Before you ask, Blinker, it does have an atmosphere made up of mostly nitrogen with some methane and carbon monoxide, like what comes out of our car, you know, in the tailpipe.
What about moons, Max? Has Pluto got any?
Pluto has 3 known moons, the largest, Charon, and 2 additional tiny moons, Nix and Hydra. Charon is quite mysterious because it is only a little smaller than Pluto. Some believe they come so close they sometimes pull gases from each other's atmospheres. Well, Blinker, that's about all I can teach you about Pluto, so grab the controls and let's head back to our good Earth. Well, Blinker, let's take our ship deep into our solar system and take a look at comets and asteroids. They appear to be pretty mysterious stuff. Comets streak around our sky like crazy, and some of us worry about big asteroids smashing into Earth. But once you take a close look at them, they're not so mysterious and dangerous after all.
So what is an asteroid, Max? And where do they come from?
Asteroids, Blinker, are objects composed of rock, ice, and metal that were left over from when our solar system was formed. They range from hundreds of miles wide to the size of pebbles. Many roam around inside our solar system, with most of them found in an area between Mars and Jupiter called the asteroid belt.
Should I worry about one of them hitting my home, Max?
Asteroids have been known to strike the Earth, Blinker, but it's really rare. The most famous one may have struck the Earth near Mexico some 70 million years ago, and perhaps have been responsible for the extinction of the dinosaurs. It could have been 4 to 9 miles across, triggering enormous tidal waves in the ocean and eliminating sunlight for months around the Earth. This would have destroyed most living things on our planet. But don't worry, 70 million years is a long time, and scientists are working on discovering a way to protect our planet from these monsters.
What do we know about asteroids, Max?
Well, now we know quite a lot, Blinker. Our spacecrafts have been visiting a number of asteroids and got close up to them. Let's take a look at some. This is Eros, a 20-mile-long, very big rock in space. Believe it or not, an American spacecraft called NEAR successfully landed on this asteroid in 2001. How about that? As it got closer and closer, the spacecraft took these amazing photos. Look at the detail of that asteroid. This is Gaspra. It's about 10 miles long. Most asteroids have irregular shapes like this one. This one is Ida, and it's a big one, some 36 miles in length and 14 miles wide. It's so big, it has even captured its own moon. You can see it there. And this is Matilda. That's 41 miles across and about 29 miles wide. We've added Eros so you can see the comparison between the two asteroids. Well, how about it, Blinker? Have you learned something about asteroids?
You bet. I really understand a lot now about asteroids. But what about comets? They're a little scary to me, too.
Well, comets shouldn't frighten you, Blinker. They add to the beauty and mystery of our night sky. Although long ago, many people thought that comets foretold disaster.
But what are comets made of, Max? And where do they come from?
Comets are small bodies of dust and ice that circle around the sun. When they approach the sun, the ice begins to melt, and vapor is released, which is swept back as a giant glowing tail. Also, Blinker, we're not sure where all comets come from, except that many are from a long way off, way beyond our solar system, and others come from the Kuiper belt that lies beyond Neptune.
What has been the most important comet, Max?
There have been many, Blinker, but perhaps the most famous one is Halley's Comet, which makes an appearance every 76 years. It was first photographed in 1910, and many people felt it signaled the end of the world. In 1986, it again appeared, and this time the world was prepared for it, with all kinds of special cameras and even a spacecraft that went out to meet it. This produced an incredible image of the nucleus of the comet, that is the center. Those white jets are gases and dust shooting from the core of the comet. Comet West in 1976 was a breathtaking sight with its bright and broad tail sweeping the sky. It was one of the brightest of all comets recorded in modern history. Comets normally have two tails. In Comet West, they are both quite visible. Can you see them? Comet Hyakutake arrived close to 9 million miles from Earth in 1996 and proved to be one of the more spectacular comets of our time. Comet Hale-Bopp arrived in 1997. It was also one of the brightest comets. It was quite large, some 25 miles wide. Comet Tempel 1 was discovered in 1867. It was destined to be the first comet ever impacted by a spacecraft. On July 4, 2005, a probe from the American spacecraft Deep Impact collided with the comet, creating a huge crater and spewing debris and gases far into space. This is an actual photograph taken from the spacecraft 67 seconds after the probe hit the comet. The main spacecraft remained a safe distance away from the explosion, enabling it to analyze the gases, debris, and the resulting crater, and for the very first time determined the composition of a comet. Blinker, this is really important because comets can give us information of what raw ingredients went into the making of our solar system. And on July 16, 1994, for the first time in recorded history, two solar system bodies collided in space. Wow, was that something? You were just a baby robot then, weren't you, Blinker? It was a great comet called Shoemaker-Levy, which collided with Jupiter. Jupiter's awesome gravity caused it to shatter into at least 21 huge pieces, which plunged into the planet at enormous speeds. This resulted in violent impact explosions on Jupiter's face that left huge visible scars. Blinker, we were able to actually record this important event with a spacecraft that was nearby and with a huge Hubble telescope in Earth orbit. Well, what did you think, Blinker? Have you learned enough about asteroids and comets for today? Well, that's good news. Let's head back to Earth. Listen, why don't you drive? Yes, sure. You can drive, Blinker. Are you awake, Blinker?
Yeah, Max, I'm worn out. This has really been an exciting trip. Let's head Stardust for home and mission control.